Last Sabbath at church, we had a great music program. But what gets me upset is that the young people should be able to take a lead, and they're not.
I know what you mean. I talked to my pastor about how youth are important, and I showed him from the Bible. My friends would never go to an adult-produced event.
Exactly. But I don't know what to do to change that. I want to invite my friends to church as well. Hi, I'm Robert.
And I'm Julia, and you are watching Mission 360.
Mission 360 comes to you from the Office of Adventist Mission at the Seventh-day Adventist Church World Headquarters. Every week, we focus on mission stories and challenges all around us.
Today, we will learn more about building friendships and connecting with young people in a secularized city environment. Our guest is Dr. Paulson. Do you know him, Robert?
Yeah, he's the host of that cool TV show, Let's Talk?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go and listen and see what the interview is like.
Okay.
Dr. Paulson, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Since you have been in supposed retirement, you've been busier than ever, and you've written many books. The latest book to be released, what is the name of it?
Let's talk.
I love that title. And it's based on a television program.
Yeah. Over a 7-year period while I was president, we had around 30 live, unscripted television interviews with young people, television conversations with young people around the world, every part of the world, Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. And there were groups of very dynamic, strong, creative minds coming together with their joys and with their frustrations. And they wanted to talk to a church leader about these things. I was enriched by that. I learned a lot. And I came to see them from perspectives that I couldn't otherwise have done. Mm. And writing the book now, I look back to these conversations, select core elements from the conversation that sort of engaged them, issues they felt strongly for, and have brought them into the book and established a dozen or 13 chapters with these main concerns of theirs. I wanted to give continuity to their voice. That's why I wrote the book. I wanted them to be heard, to continue to be heard in the church. They are, after all, the church. 50% of our church are them. It was great to work on this project.
Now, the whole idea of the television program, the whole idea of actually getting out there and talking to people, we often haven't been good at listening, right?
Right.
But you went out there, you placed yourself in a context where they could ask you anything. I mean, it wasn't, there was no censoring of the questions.
Absolutely.
And you didn't know what the questions were before the camera started rolling. So it was totally unscripted.
It was.
Were there any surprises?
Well, there always will be surprises, but I met with them usually before we went live.
Yeah.
And I said to them, look, if you want to make a fool of yourself, this is your chance. Because it's not going to be edited or corrected.
Right.
But it became very, very quickly clear that they are serious, they are passionate about the church, they feel strongly for, they love their church. And they want to be part of the life of the church. They do not want to be sidelined. They have strong convictions, and they just want to be heard. One of the interesting things I found, although they put to me many, many questions, some of which I could not answer, but that was okay. For them, the important point was not that they had a fixed answer to every issue which engaged them, but that they had an opportunity to talk to leadership in the church about the things they felt for. And that, I think, is a message that needs to go out to our church today, church leaders today, at local church level, as much as at other organizational levels of the church. Listen to your young people. They are absolutely filled with ideas. They have energies and they have spiritual gifts.
What have we done wrong in the way that we have dealt with young adults in the past?
I think we have not given them space to think and encouragement to run with their thinking. We have not. If we accept them as being co-equal in our church, which they are as spiritually gifted as you and I. They have as much an obligation as a right to be part of the thinking and life of the church. It's for those of us who have been in it for many years to give them room and space to express themselves, to engage themselves in the life of the church. We have not trusted them enough to do that in the past, and they suffer from that. They feel hurt by the lack of trust. So we need to do better than that.
When we look at the history of the mission of this church, Dr. Paulson, we see that many of the missionaries have been young people.
Yes.
Who have taken the good news
Absolutely.
all around the world.
Yeah.
When you were a missionary, you were not an old person, you were a young person, right?
Yes.
You went out to Africa? And
that's right. I went out to Africa, what was I, 27?
Yeah,
something like that.
Too young to know anything, right?
Well, but I had a passion in my heart.
Yeah.
And I really do see this in so many of the young people of my church, the young adults, young professionals. They love this church, and they want to be. They want their creative, spiritual, endowed ideas to flow into the life of the church. I just feel so strongly that we must make that possible.
How would you like to see this book being used, Dr. Paulson?
The book is not, I hope the book will not just be a book you read and put on the shelf
Right.
somewhere. The book is meant to be by the issues we take up, they will generate discussion, because some of these things are not comfortable reading, okay? The questions that they raise, and you will hear the voice, you will see the voice in writing word for word as they put the questions, the issues to me. And they are provocative, some of these. I want these issues to stimulate a conversation in our church. Ideally, I would like the book to become a conversation instrument that in the local church, young people and those who are not so young can establish a cross-generational conversation. They can understand each other better, and they can endorse each other, support each other, and give each other room to become involved in the mission of the church. That's what I would like to see happen.
And each chapter has discussion questions?
Yes, it does. At the end of each chapter, there are so-called conversation teasers that will help the discussion to get going. But I think if they've read the chapter, which they will have done, if they've seen the 2 or 3 pages of provocative questions put by the young people at the beginning of each chapter, they will probably not need many teasers at the end to have a conversation, because really it will drive a conversation.
Wonderful. Yeah. Dr. Paulson, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Viewers at home, the book is called Let's Talk, and it is a vital piece of, well, it's a tool that can be used in homes and in churches, and Dr. Paulson has a wealth of experience that he brings to this book. Pray for the young people in your church. Pray that they can be involved in the mission of this church.
Next up, we'll travel to Madagascar to meet a young man who, after strong prejudice, decided to become part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Hear this amazing story of God's leading.
My name is Romain, and I want to share with you the story of my conversion. I used to belong to another faith, and I was studying at a university in Antananarivo, the capital of Madagascar. I'm an agriculture major, and I was in need of an internship so that I could continue my studies. I couldn't find a place that would take me for an internship, but at the last moment, I ended up getting a summer placement at the Adventist University Zurcher, which is operated by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I was worried about what it might be like to be with these Adventists, but I had family that lived there, so I thought that it would be all right. My mother even warned me not to be tricked by the Adventists and their beliefs. I went to Zurcher and worked on the farm. I really enjoyed it since the university is located up in the mountains and the air is clean. The tall pine trees on the campus created a beautiful and peaceful setting. At the end of my first week of work, my supervisor told me to go and take Friday afternoon off work so that I could prepare for the Sabbath. I was shocked since I thought that I must work a full day to fulfill my internship. I went to the small house that I shared with my cousin and didn't know what to do. I asked him about the Sabbath and what it meant. We discussed what he believed, and then he invited me to study the Sabbath school lesson with him. I agreed and found that I really enjoyed what I was learning. As summer passed, I found myself spending more time studying with my cousins and learning about what Adventists believe. My mind was full of questions, and I felt that I had so many things that I needed to know. I enjoyed reading the Bible and discovering the truths that I found there. The peaceful setting of the university helped me to focus on what I was learning. Eventually, I decided to be baptized and to join the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I praise God that He sent me to Zurcher so that I could learn about Him and the blessing that is the Sabbath. After I finish my agriculture degree, I plan on returning to Zurcher and studying theology so that I can learn how to share my newfound faith with others. Without this university, I would not be a Seventh-day Adventist today. Your mission offerings help to support the work being done at Zurcher and the students whose lives are being transformed, just like mine. Thank you for your faithful support of the worldwide mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
After the break, we'll talk to a Global Mission Center director who's talking about connecting with young people in the cities.
Some 50 years ago, Adventist missionaries spent 40 days traversing the rough jungles of Papua New Guinea to reach out to people who had never before heard the name of Jesus. They healed the sick, fed the poor, and provided spiritual healing to God's children. Today, this same trip can be done in 15 minutes, thanks to a mission plane that was paid for with your mission offerings. The mode of transportation may have changed, but the message of hope in Jesus is still the same.
Treat yourself to Faith Tales of Frontline Missionaries. Every quarter, the Office of Adventist Mission releases never-heard-before stories of modern heroes. These are men and women who go beyond the call of duty to touch lives and bless people with the message of hope. This beautiful DVD is yours free if you call today. Here is the number you will need. Call today. Or visit us online.
Welcome back. There are a lot of young people leaving Christian churches today, and it's a huge challenge, but it's also a challenge to reach an increasing secular and postmodern society, regardless of age. What is happening with faith? To answer some of these questions, we invited Kleber Gonzalez from the Secular and Postmodern Global Mission Center to join us.
Welcome, Kleber. Is it true that young people are no longer interested in church?
Well, yes and no. Many of them are not looking for a religious institution to belong to, but they are looking for something to believe in. And so we need to understand their thinking, what they are looking for, the relevance of church experience for them. For instance, a few decades ago, the main question was, is there a God? Today, that's not the question. We are living in a pluralistic society in which people ask, to which God should I follow? Just to tell you a brief experience, a few years ago, I was visiting a young person in her home. And as I was going into the living room, there was a Bible open in a little table. By the Bible was a statue of Buddha, and behind the Buddha, a pyramid. So it clearly shows how these new generations open to spiritual experiences.
Covering all the bases.
Of course. Somehow they're going to hit what they are looking for.
Yeah, now Clippy, you have had a passion to share the good news with people in an urban environment. I guess many of them are young people. What have you been doing down in São Paulo?
Well, I had pastor in São Paulo for a few years, right before my ordination. But I felt that something was missing in my ministry because we were not reaching a particular people group in a large city like São Paulo. So I decided to come to the US to study a bit more. And during the first year, I felt a strong call from God, giving me a new vision to plant a church in São Paulo downtown. So I've been praying for this during those years in which I was at Andrews studying, and the Lord gave me the opportunity. So the vision is not mine; it came from Him.
Right.
It was something so deep inside my heart, and then we went back and started this church, looking for that particular people group who were not being reached by traditional methods of church.
Now, your church is called Nova Semente New Seed, and it's in the heart of São Paulo.
That's right.
Now, when you started, how many people did you have joining you to plant the church?
Well, we built a core group with 16 people, including my wife and I. And we had the opportunity to pray, to plan together for almost 6 months prior to the launch of the church. It was a very important moment in which we were trying to infuse in their minds and hearts the importance of mission. We are not having a desire to have a special church for us. We are thinking to have a church for them, those who don't know Christ. So it was a very important moment for us, and that's the way we started.
Now, today, how many people do you have worshiping there on a Sabbath?
Well, on an average Sabbath, we have a little over 1,000 people, 3 services. Church members, in there we have a little over 400. It is something strange, but we have too many visitors on Sabbath.
That's a blessing.
It is.
Yeah. So you have about 400 members, but you have up to 600 more people coming
Exactly.
who are interested.
Exactly.
How many services do you have?
We have 3 services. We have 2 in the morning for church members, and we are right now praying for more volunteers because we want to start a second service in the afternoon. So we're going to have 4 services after the second semester of this year.
Now, what are you doing to try to connect with people who are not believers, and particularly younger people?
Well, as I have mentioned to you, in this initial phase in which mission was so important for the members to understand, they had clearly in their mind the importance to live what they believe. So that's the strategy is simple. We don't have a magic pill. So church members, they need to live their Christian experience in their everyday lives. So they take opportunities every day of the week to share what they believe in and to invite people to be with us. The church has several ministries in which we try to connect with them, not only inside a church building, but also outside it. So it's a two-way street in which we are really working on it in order to attract people to Christ.
Give me an example of someone whose life has been touched.
Well, right in the beginning, we had to make an important decision. Too many non-church people want to help in the church as volunteers. So we decided everything in the church that doesn't deal with teaching, we would allow them to participate. And one of those young people, his name is Daniel. He became one of our cameramans. We record the whole thing we're doing there. And for almost 1.5 years, Daniel was helping us as a cameraman. And sometimes people would tell me, Pastor, Daniel today, he was crying behind the camera. But he had a deeper problem, if we can say so, because he didn't believe in the gods we know. His family they are Messianic. So he had this tradition of waking up every day at 6 in the morning to pray to their Messiah. But one day, Daniel came to me. He touched my leg like this and said, Pastor, you know what? I have good news for you. I said, what, Danny? He told me, I accepted Jesus. And how come? He told me, well, I was reading the Bible, and there I found that your Messiah, Jesus Christ, was praying for me. For him was a special experience. Instead of him praying to his Messiah every day, he knew that Jesus had personal interest on him. A simple example, but this experience led him to accept Christ. He got baptized, a wonderful Seventh-day Adventist who is serving our church from the bottom of his heart.
Beautiful. Now, Kleber, name some of the ministries that church members are involved in.
Well, we have so many different ways. The thing is, we need to give options.
Yeah.
From the beginning, we had only 5 ministries, the basic ones. And I was praying, Lord, send us people with passion. If their passion fits with the vision of the church, we simply give them the opportunity to open up ministries. We have recovery ministries, we have bicycle ministries, we have everything that allows us to touch the community and at the same time to serve the vision we have as church.
Fantastic. Kleber, you're also the director for the Center for Secular and Postmodern Ministries, a global mission studies center, and you use your home church in Sao Paulo as a base for this ministry. This is a challenge all around the world, but we want to see what you're doing in your local church. So let's go to a video now to see what's happening in Nova Semente.
Sao Paulo is Brazil's largest city, with a population of some 11 million in the city itself and nearly 20 million in the metropolitan area. 7 years ago, Pastor Kleber Gonçalves left Andrews University, where he had been studying, and returned to Brazil. He had a dream of starting a church in the heart of the city, in an area where starting a new church wouldn't be easy.
Traditionally, we had not been very successful in reaching secular and postmodern people in this city. Actually, right now where we are, close by the financial center of São Paulo, Paulista Avenue, in the past 47 years, we have not been able as church to start any churches in this area.
Despite the difficulties of the past, Pastor Kleber gathered together a small group of Adventists and planted a new church called Nova Semente.
Nova Semente, the meaning of the name is new seed. And it comes from Zacchaeus' experience. That little short man, he wanted to see Jesus, says the Bible text. So he was looking for a place, and he found a little tree in which he could hide. And there, sitting on a branch of a sycamore tree, he could finally see Jesus.
Today, Nova Semente, the new seed, has grown into a large and vibrant church here in the business district of one of Brazil's largest cities. Every Saturday or Sabbath, they have 3 services.
The first one is 10 a.m. in the morning. It's mainly for the members and for the new converts. So we have a very strong discipleship program in which we teach the church about our mission, our vision as church. We help them to develop this close relationship with Jesus Christ.
During the morning service, families are invited to participate. Each week, members fill out prayer requests, bring them to the front, and place them in a box. The box is locked, and a family that has recently joined the church is chosen to take the box home. During the week, they pray for the requests of their newfound church family. Church members are also asked to pray for the prayer needs in the box. Every Sabbath, Vera and Marcio open their home and invite new people for a meal and fellowship. Marcio is a chef, and he's happy to share his culinary skills with people from his church. And Vera has found a way that God can use her.
When I started coming here, I realized that I didn't have a specific talent. I saw people singing or going to prayer groups or doing the discipleship, and I was asking God to use me. I was doing these lunches already, and I realized that God was telling me that this was the way to serve Him, bringing people together to have this fellowship after church.
When Vera started going to Nova Semente, Marcio was going to another church. Marcio was praying that Vera would come back to their old church. Vera was asking God to help Marcio know that Nova Semente was the church for him. Today, Vera and Marcio are actively involved at Nova Semente.
I try to give all the love I felt the church was giving me and give it back to these people who are coming here for the first time.
Services don't end with morning worship and lunch at Nova Semente. In the afternoon, they have a special program for their neighbors, and members are involved in putting on the program.
In the afternoon, everything changes. The members, they are fired up to serve. So we have dozens of volunteers. You just saw for this program to be able to run, we had at least 80 people involved as volunteers in various ministries.
In the afternoon, the church focuses intentionally on secular and postmodern people.
And a little later, starting at 8, we have another service in the mezzanine focusing on youth. So we have our young people involved. It has also an evangelistic approach, so they can bring them friends. So the only difference between the afternoon service to the night service is the way we communicate.
Although Nova Semente is drawing people to the church, Nova Semente's members are also going out. One of these members is Audrey. One day, she stopped and bought some vegetables from some boys selling by the side of the road. While she was talking with them, she asked where they lived. They offered to show her, and soon she found herself in one of the poor areas of Sao Paulo. After the visit, Audrey promised to come back. She started going back and taking food and clothes donated by church members and friends. When she saw they didn't have proper sewage and water, she started visiting City Hall and knocking on doors. She visited office after office, meeting with one official after another, until finally improvements were made in that neighborhood. She and her husband Alfred still visit to talk with the friends and to lend a helping hand when they can.
We've been helping him to build his home. That was a problem for him because he was living in other people's houses.
Although it has taken years of work in this challenging area, more than 90 people have been baptized.
I hope you've enjoyed the places we visited today and that you've learned something new from the stories you heard.
There is so much need in our world. People are looking for hope, truth, and healing. Someone who will love them as Jesus did or does. We hope the ideas shared here will encourage you to see mission in a holistic, up-close, and personal approach.
So take time to be a blessing in someone's life today. We also ask you to pray for the hundreds of missionaries who have left the comfort of their home to touch people's lives for Christ.
If you want to learn more about mission work and Adventist mission, visit AdventistMission.org. There's a world of information on our website. Thanks for spending your time with us. Mission 360 will be back next week.